Do you have your own business? Need some advice on getting clear, saying no to fear, pricing just right, and building a tribe? Well, our guests tonight, LaShanda Henry and Gwen Elliot, are going to show you exactly what you need to know right here, right now on Lori and Cher.
Welcome to the Lori and Cher Show, Hacking into Awesome. I'm Lori Williamson.
And I'm Cher Jones.
And if you don't know, Cher and I are cousins, and we host this weekly Google Plus Hangout where we talk to absolutely amazing people and literally hack in to what makes them awesome.
That's right, Lori, and tonight is going to be an awesome hack. If I ever called anything an awesome hack, this is definitely an awesome hack because we are hacking into business. And we have two awesome women who are going to take us from the start to the beginning, and I am really excited about that. And for all of you guys who are watching live right now, we want you to get social with us. And we are pretty much everywhere on the internet. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram and YouTube and Google Plus, and you can hit us up. You can find us anywhere. And we are Lori and Cher in all those spaces.
Absolutely.
And, yeah, of course. Lori, do you remember who we have online? We've got Adriel, our awesome producer right now, and he is on Twitter. So he'll be tweeting with you guys. He'll be grabbing your questions. So make sure that if you have questions for either of our awesome panelists tonight, that we'll be able to take those questions and ask them. So let's get it ready.
Yay, I'm excited tonight because, Cher, you know, you and I are businesswomen, and we totally love talking to awesome ladies. So we have some entrepreneuresses, I guess that's what we can call them tonight. But I know before we get started, you wanted to shout someone out who is completely awesome and has been all over our Twitter in the last, last couple of weeks. So yeah. I'll let you take it away.
Yes, Jessica Gimeneo, I hope I pronounced that right, Jessica. You've been awesome, and we wanted to recognize you as our fan of the week because you're always sharing our stuff. You're so positive, and I mean, you also have an awesome blog, so I want people to check that out. It's JessicaGimeneo.com, and she talks about being fashionably ill. She has over 5 different ailments that are, I mean, even one would strike anyone down, but she's managing them all, and she's talking about surviving pain with style and humor. So you guys check her out. We are really excited to just recognize her as being an awesome fan who's just sharing our stuff and being so positive out on the internet.
Absolutely. She's a doll. So we'll definitely have to have her on one of our shows in the upcoming weeks and months. But let's kick things off. We have 2 fabulous women who are to come on, give tons and tons of advice, tips, share their story of how they got to where they are right now. Of course, if you use the hashtag tonight, it's Lori and Cher. So make sure you tweet questions and get us, even if you go on our Facebook or an event page. First, I'd like to introduce our first guest tonight. Her name is Gwen Elliot, and she's been featured in Forbes, Rogers TV, and Huffington Post. She's a mediapreneur. She's the creator of Start Something Big, and she's also the producer for The Naked Entrepreneur, which will be on OWN Canada next year. So welcome to the Lori and Cher Show, Gwen. Love having you.
Hi, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So Gwen, you know what? Cher and I are huge fans of David Siteman Garland, and we noticed that you use this name, Mediapreneur. So can you share for everyone who does not know what a mediapreneur is? Because I love this term, and he coined it quite greatly. So explain what that is for anyone who's not in the know.
Totally. And to clarify, David actually trademarked the phrase mediapreneur, and I've actually had the chance to meet him, and I went to St. Louis to train with him, and I'm like, David, is it cool if I use this term, if I make sure I credit you? And he's like, okay, yes. I'm just spreading the vibe. So him and I kind of have different ways of explaining it. To me, a mediapreneur is someone who merges a career with marketing, media, and entrepreneurship. But his definition is more along the lines of creating online courses that help you get paid, which I also think is amazing. So, but along the lines of that, I define it a little different.
Well, I like that because, Cher, you and I love that mediapreneur term. When we heard it, we were like, yeah, that clicks and that totally makes sense. So, Gwen, the other thing that I know about you is that you are an RTA alumnus. I am too.
Woo!
So, just want to shout out for any of your RTR friends that are watching right now. We're so excited to have this lady on because let me tell you, you have quite an interesting story. I mean, I'm checking you out. You know, I watched the TEDx talk. I'm listening to your stories. I'm seeing some things that you've done, like really cool things. You've traveled to so many awesome places and had the experience of, you know, working in Santa Monica for MTV, and you know, you're talking about working with David Seyton Garland. You were talking earlier about some stuff that you're doing with the company that you work with right now. So tell us how this woman from Beaverton, Ontario, right? To where she is now, that she has all these things going on. Just break down the story briefly. For anyone who doesn't know, Ryerson has the radio and television arts program, and that's kind of where, I guess, Gwen got her start. So give us a brief synopsis of, you know, some of the stuff you've done.
Totally. In a very simple nutshell, the reason or the way I've been able to get to where I am today is that I followed my curiosity. I was somebody who felt very frustrated because I never really had a fierce passion for like anything except for playing basketball, which ended up fizzling out. But I was always curious about media, and I remember growing up in Beaverton, very small house with no cable or internet, but I did have like 4 TV channels, and I just always remember when I watched TV, people who were on TV always looked really excited to be alive and were really just happy. And I was like, this is what I have to do because I want to be alive and happy. So I followed that curiosity and went to Ryerson for radio and television. And while I was there, you know, I honestly didn't know what I was doing. I was like, how does one make a living? How do you make money in this media world? But anyway, long story short, I realized, you know, at the end of that 4 years, I've got to try and go big. And I applied to intern at MTV in Santa Monica, did a lot of stuff to get that internship, like calling tons of time, sending snail mail, sending weird pictures of myself with thought bubbles, like, what would it be like if I was in MTV? Like, weird stuff, but it worked. And so at the end of that, I was there for 4 months. I spent the rest of my like student loan money on that. I was like, oh God. And at the end of that, I actually had the most amazing opportunity. I had the chance to actually apply to work at the Oprah Winfrey Network right when it was starting. And it was an entry-level job, and I would have been working with the head of development at OWN. And I was like, oh my God.
Wow.
Like, I know, this is like the ultimate dream job. This is it. This is what I've been working for.
Ta-da!
And, I know. Guess how this ends. I totally didn't get the job. And whether it was I was too inexperienced, I didn't have a car, which is terrible for an assistant in LA. But I ended up going from like the couch at OWN to just moving back to Beaverton and literally sleeping on my parents' couch.
So from the couch at OWN to the couch at home.
Yeah, hey, that's good.
I have at least 2 more zingers for the night, I'm sure.
I'm done here. I can go home. We've got that. Yeah, but seriously, you know, that's just. And I literally, you know, you go from having a dream of where you think your life's going to go and fantasized about like 5 or 10 years down the line of like running shows on OWN. And then I was like, nope, not happening. But yeah, that summer I just got into a real state of the analysis paralysis idea, where you're just thinking about what action to take but not actually doing anything because you're like, but where do I start?
Right.
And at the end of that summer I was like, this is ridiculous. I need to do something. And the way I say to get out of that analysis paralysis is, first of all, you have to acknowledge you're there, and then you have to be willing to ask for help. So I just reached out to a friend of mine. Actually, he wasn't really a friend. He was one of my friend's ex-boyfriend, who I knew about town as this amazing entrepreneurial guy. So I just sent him a Facebook message, and I said, Evan, I need your help. I don't know how to start. And after a call, a really awkward and scary call on my behalf, he just talked some sense into me, and he's like, Gwen, what have you been doing this summer? I'm like, reading about successful people. And he's like, and you want to make a TV show. The action you're taking is consistent with being a librarian, not actually a TV host or producer. So, like, do that. So that's kind of like, that kind of kicked me into gear. Then I started a blog where I documented 5 actions per day that I was taking until the actual show got made. So to me, it's all about small steps and consistent action.
And that's what I love about that advice, is that small steps, consistent action, because that is, and you mentioned that term that I mean, sometimes I live in and I need to fight past it, is that analysis paralysis. And it is those small steps, because it's momentum, it's movement that will get you on to starting or getting you where you need to be. So I do definitely appreciate that, as far as just sharing that as part of your wisdom, as part as your start, and how others can leverage that advice as well.
Oh, sorry, go for it.
No, one of the other things that I wanted to say that I loved about your story, I mean, you and I have kind of a similar story, because I worked at MTV too. I moved to New York, and that's how I got my that's how I got into the TV world after, RTA. But one of the things that I liked about it, about what you're sharing as well, is that you're not afraid to reach out to other people and try to make something happen. Like, even though you say, like, you don't know what you were going to do, but you were connecting with people. You weren't afraid to. And I find that sometimes people are afraid to reach out to people and say, hey, I'd like to do this, or I'd like to do that. And I think that that's a lesson that people need to learn, is connecting and aiming high. Because, I mean, hey, you weren't trying to go and get, an internship in your backyard. You were like, no, I'm going to move to LA for the summer. So you already had the steps within you to make something big of yourself, which is ultimately what you are doing.
Thank you. And you definitely have to make some bold moves. But something I've been learning just recently that's actually been helping a lot with this whole analysis paralysis situation is, say you look at somebody like a Marie Forleo or David Siteman Garland, or my new obsession, Hey Shanae. I look at her website.
Oh, yes.
Dear God,
I know.
Like, how would you do that with pixels? Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But if you're just starting and you look at somebody like that, and knowing someone like Marie who makes like $12 million a year, and you're like, oh yeah, I'd love to do that. And you're not even making $1 a year, basically, on your freelance thing. You can't stay in that lane of consuming Marie Forleo content. You need to find somebody who's about 10 steps ahead of you, not 100, and pay that person to help you, because they remember what it's like. And that's been helping me so much lately, because I've stopped looking at people who are light years ahead of me and putting them on this giant pedestal. I'm paying coaches. Like, I'm actually throwing the money down to pay people that are 10 steps ahead of me to pull me forward.
I love that you're sharing that, because I think a lot of people don't see or aren't willing to do that. They're not willing to shell out the money to get advisors who can advise them. And, as much as I said that you do reach out to people, which is great, in terms of trying to get that job and going for those opportunities, you are also paying for people's time, and that is something like this is a business. People can advise you, and likewise, when you have the information, it's something that you can do to monetize who you are and what expertise that you bring to the business.
Definitely. I also love the fact that there's a saying out there that don't compare your start to somebody else's middle. And that is something that is so huge, because I found that too, is like in that whole analysis paralysis, I was looking at people who have been in the game, who've been doing it for years. There's no such thing as an overnight success, because it usually takes about 3 years for it to get delivered. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden it's overnight. You wake up, you're like, wow, this looks pretty good. But all those people that we admire and look up to, like the Marie Forleos, Amy Porterfields, all of those women have started somewhere. And they have had the time and the luxury of the infancy of social media. And I have to call it out, especially as a social media trainer. Social media doesn't work the same way now as it did even in 2011, 2012. We weren't as distracted, and there wasn't as much there wasn't as many choices for awesome content. But there's so many awesome content producers out there now that we're not that quick with the like. We're not that quick with the subscribe. We want to decide what's coming in. Yeah, we hold back, exactly, because we want to guard our inbox. We want to make sure that we know what's coming in there, because I was watching another hangout, and one of the advice was, unsubscribe to almost all of the newsletters that you have, because it's just that you are subscribed to, just because it's so much information coming at you, and then it will stick you in that spot because you're looking at all the people who are 10 steps, no, not even 10 steps, 100 steps ahead of you. So I love that advice.
Yeah, and one thing, that's such great advice too, because my real mission right now is to help people who are the research junkies, or I've heard the term binge thinkers, where literally like you're just going from, you go online to write your blog, but then you go onto Facebook and you're like, ooh, and then you go down a rabbit hole and suddenly you're on BuzzFeed watching men getting makeup like pop stars, like I was the other night. And it's like, no, and then you can't actually write anything because you're like drunk on information, other people's stuff. So, and it's so easy nowadays, you know, there's so much out there, but in order for you to feel fulfilled and happy, you have to be creating your own stuff and actually getting paid for it, which is the goal. So yeah, just stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane. I love it.
I like it. I like that you have focus in what you're doing. Do you feel like you've arrived, you're on your way? Like, how far along do you feel like you are in your own process?
That's a magical question. I feel like I am exactly where I need to be. And one thing that I'm really so focused on right now is that I'm working on relaunching my website and kind of coming out and just focusing on a Gwen Elliot brand now. And when building my email list, there's this real dream for it to just explode and suddenly have thousands of people subscribed. But then I was really thinking about it. I was like, could I take care of thousands of people right now?
Right.
You know, like I need to take just amazing care of every single person that decided to join me. I need to like know them by name. I need to, you know, tweet at them, thank them, love them. Like every night I look at this list and I'm just like, thank you, thank you, thank you. And just trying to like my prayer or request is like that I could just hold the space to be someone that could support thousands of people. Because right now I'm not there. But the exciting part is that, you know, I know that I can get there and I know that it's possible, but I just need to become the kind of person that can hold the space for that many people.
And that's the thing. And later on in the show, we'll be talking to LaShanda, and we're talking to her about building his tribe. And she has grown such a massive tribe. And I can't wait to hear her advice on that, because a lot of times we have to look back. We have to look at like Team Forleo. We have to look at Team Porterfield. We have to look at Team Lucier and Team McNeil. There is more than one person behind that whole that personal brand. You know what I mean? There's a team of responders. There's a team of people who are helping her within the Facebook groups. There's a team of people who are making it happen. So those are just things that we have to consider.
I find it a little bit crazy that I know everyone that you're talking about, like, well. You know what I mean? That just, like, I'm like, yeah, like all those girls, I'm like, totally. And it's like, isn't that odd in a way that we know so much about these women?
Yes.
Like, it's like, wow.
It's because they put out so much content, and then you may have had the opportunity to meet some of them, but you put out that much content, that much video, and they talk about the power of video and the fact that we can connect with people in whatever space, but especially video. And you just get to know a person quickly. And you even talked about how when you were looking at information about LaShanda, and LaShanda was looking at information about you when we were in the green room, and you guys are both saying, I kind of feel like I know you already. And again, because you have content out there that expresses who you are. And that's really what it is. And they're putting out so awesome content.
But, you know, going back to you, Gwen, and you said that you're in the process of developing this Gwen Elliot brand. Like, you know, we're going to be talking, we're going to be like, yeah, we know the Elliot girl. We know her. You know?
I was on the Lori and Cher show.
But when you're thinking about that right now, and as you're in development, I mean, you've already have a lot of great things under your belt. You know, start something big, which I love that title, by the way. I love the title of our show, by the way, which Cher Jones Hacking into Awesome is her. And when you hear something like start something big, you're like, yeah, it just
I wish I thought of that. You know,
it just has a click to it. So, you know, and I loved when Cher came up with Hacking into Awesome, because I was like, that just has that ring to it. Like, you know, it just makes sense. But, you know,
when people get it, you know, you get the title, you're like, got it. It's like that quantum moment, as they say, when you have that experience, like life will never be the same again, which sounds a little bit dramatic, but it's true. Like when I was literally, like I can remember where I was when I thought of start something big, and I was like, that's my entire future. Like just the idea of like sharing how people started and actually amplified and grew it into something big. And I feel like that's the kind of thing you can't just think up. You have to just take a bunch of action, and you know, like it might come to you as you're literally walking down the street, riding your bike, yoga, if you do yoga, whatever. But sorry,
but
yoga.
But as you develop the Gwen Elliot brand, like what does that mean to you? What is it that you have? I mean, like as I said, you have Start Something Big. We're going to talk to you about the Naked Entrepreneur, which I mean, how do you get that on OWN? Like how did you make that happen? But you also have you know, some other projects. You know, you're going to be launching the website. You have Research Junkie Rehab, which we're going to want to talk to you about, and Start Strategist. So, I mean, like, when you look at all these different things, I mean, and then you also have a job that you work at for an e-commerce brand. So, like, when as you're developing the Gwen Elliot brand, what does that actually look like to you?
Well, I just have to say, when you say all that, I'm like, I think I need to take a nap. Like, what am I doing with my life? Like, what? Okay. What was the question?
What is the Gwen Elliot brand? With all these things that you have under this Gwen Elliot umbrella, what is it that you foresee your brand being?
Totally. Well, first of all, I have to say that I never thought when I was Start Something Big that I would ever come out and create like a Gwen Elliot brand. I was like, that's way too personal. People don't want to see that. But then I realized that in a way, I've just been hiding behind a different name. And I really feel like my purpose in life, or here's how you be successful. This is my belief system. The more you that you can become, the more successful you will be. And my real mission is to help people to create the content that is reflecting themselves. So in creating GwenElliot.com, it's just a way of me becoming more of who I am. George Stroumboulopoulos, an amazing Canadian TV host, he actually said something that resonated so deeply with me. It's that he wanted to create a life that's an extension of who he is, where when he walks into any room, he feels like himself, like he's not wearing a mask. And I'm like, oh my God, George, nailed it.
Nailed it, yeah.
So, you know, that's my dream, is to walk into different rooms, doesn't matter who's there, and I'm like, hi, I'm Gwen, and I am this. Or not even I do this, it's just, you know, anyway, I'm working through that little bit in the headspace on that. But really, like so how I actually started on this whole brand, actually, if Siobhan John is watching, love her, at her Secrets of a Side Hustler event, I really wanted to start coaching women. It's just something I've always naturally done. Every time I go out for coffee with someone, we leave with action items. It's just it happens. And I really wanted to just go out there and really start. And Siobhan let me share with 80 amazing women that I want to start helping them to start what they really want to do in the world. And since that day, I've been coaching 6 women. And I'm calling them Start Strategy Sessions, where it's really just getting clear on what exactly you want to do and how do we get it into the world. And it's been amazing, and I have to keep doing it. And and I just want to keep continuing doing that, and then also sharing with people how I've been able to start things and actually get media coverage for it and really amplify things when you're just starting out. I've been able to get some crazy, like, big media coverage for, like, things I just started, and this is information that people need to know.
And I have a question right now, and I want to remind everybody else that we are taking questions for Gwen, and later on we will be talking to LaShanda Henry. But right now, my question is from K.N. Hunter. And what's the best way to stay focused on your goals while working full-time? That may include full-time or permanent situations such as work, marriage, kids, where you don't have that kind of flexibility and you can't pull away from it all at once. So how do you stay focused?
That is such an amazing question. And this is what's worked best for me, and I really hope it can work for you too. And it's really to start small and document the actions that you're taking. And you really, what I'm doing is putting them in what I like to call a garbage blog, where I'm actually putting these small actions I'm taking on a blog, but I'm not like sharing it with people. It's just like I know it's out there, and it's showing that I'm creating this momentum, and but it's not like this is what I do. So I would suggest starting with like very small, literally one action per day, and it could be something as small as I tweeted today about what I'm doing. I updated my website with something. Start small and just build. My kind of like key area is 5 actions per day. But also, yeah, because I still I'm looking for an e-commerce company. It's amazing, and of course, like super crazy busy because it's a tech startup where it's like you're working all the time. So weekends are also a very sacred time, I would say. You know, like Sundays are a great day to really work on yourself. Can you book yourself like an hour? You know, like just an hour to really dedicate to what you really want to do. And you'll be amazed at how far you can come if you just stay in your lane and take small actions.
Love it. I love it.
One of the things that I also, when I was creeping your your Twitter, I was totally creeping, and I think you were at, was it Leanda Deku, MBA, and she said,
yeah.
You know her?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, perfect. So anyways, you guys were having a little conversation back and forth, or she was doing maybe a Gwen-ism, I'm just going to call it that, and one of the sayings that she said you said was start before you're ready.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted you to kind of explain that, because I feel like there's a lot of fear. Like, you know, you're talking about working with women and kind of helping them get clarity with what they're doing, but you know, I think a lot of times people fail to launch. So I wanted you to kind of explain what you meant when you said start before you're ready.
That's such a beautiful question, Lori. Like, what I mean by that is, when is the optimal time for you to start working on that burning desire, that dream you really want to do? There isn't really, you know, there's not going to be an alarm that goes off. It's like, now's the time. Like, suddenly you're walking down the street and you're like, now. No, it will never happen, because you have the most resistance to the things that you want the most. So I say start before you're ready as just a mind shift of like, it's just kind of a fun thing. Like, you're never ready, so just start now. Send one email, make one phone call, create one blog post, and forgive yourself if you set a plan that's like, take 5 actions per day, and then you screw up and don't. Let it go.
Let it go.
Move on. Next day, next hour, next minute. Yeah, but just start, and you'll really start to feel alive.
And we do have another question, and guys, I do want to let you guys know that we recognize that there are some sound technical difficulties going on right now, and I think that's just with the Hangouts, but it's all good. But we do have yet another question from Christelle Carter, and she wants to know, Gwen, how do you develop content with a fresh spin on it? Because there is so much, especially right now. I mean, I work in the branding space, you're working in startups and branding space and getting in touch with media, and there's so many awesome mediapreneurs right now who are creating very similar content. How do you create content and put a fresh spin on it? You talked about one having the garbage blog, so to speak, as far as where you can dump all your thoughts, which is awesome. I love that, because it's just people get that personal side of your brand and all that you're up to, and it's just kind of like a peek into your life. But what about creating content to stand out? Like, how do you create content with a fresh spin on it? And thank you so much, Christelle Carter, for asking that question.
Oh, God, that's such a great question, because it's so true, right? Because you look to your left and your right, and you're like, God, they have such great ideas. Like, what is happening with my ideas, or something like that? So the first step is, before you create any content, don't look at anyone else's content. Like, stay away from it.
Yes.
That is the drug. You stay away from the drug. But if you really think about it, if you really get down to the heart of the matter here, we're all completely different people with a unique spin on everything. And if you can just allow your unique voice to shine through in anything that you're writing, you're going to kill it. And, you know, like, I'm kind of weird and quirky-ish. And, you know, and one thing I do is I tend to, I actually just on my iPhone here, sometimes if I have an idea for a content posts, it's like I'll just record it in my iPhone, because then it's like, you know, it sounds like me. It you know, it's and then I just write it down. So find a way that works best for you to get the story out. So whether, did that sound really Canadian? Out. Sorry. I'm very self-conscious about that ever since like being in San Francisco, where they're like, "Where are you from?" And I'm like, "Canada." So yeah, like sometimes too, I find that sometimes talking to like the photo booth on your MacBook is a good way to like get the content out. But if you just stay in your lane and do you, no one's had your life experiences, and your life is amazing, and you need to get it out there. So just
Preach on, baby girl. Like, for real. I totally get that. Absolutely get that. I know Lori is a big iPhone user when it comes to her speaking her blogs and speaking her content into existence. Lori does that. Like, that's her best friend with all her devices, and there's not just one.
It is very true.
I'm not going to read into that. I'm just not going to.
So Gwen, you know what? I think a lot of times, you know, being an entrepreneur, you know, it's something that Cher and I are now in, that world of entrepreneurship. We don't have the 9 to 5. And I feel like, you know, struggle is something that kind of goes hand in hand with entrepreneurship. Can you talk about any struggles that you feel that you've had and how you've been able to push past that to continue to have the motivation to continue to do what you're doing right now?
Yes. Where should I start? Okay, I got it. So, since graduating from university, I've had to move home twice to back to Beaverton to live with my parents because I literally didn't make enough money to live. And I was devastated the first time. It was next level nightmare the second time, because I moved back there, and it's not like a real problem for most people, like living with your parents, but somehow in my childhood I synced up that when you move home with your parents, it's like you didn't make it in life or something like that. It's a weird thought, but yeah, so just not setting an actual plan to make the kind of money that's necessary to live is a real problem, and a challenge I know a lot of people face when they graduate from college or university and they've just spent thousands of dollars, and now you're expected to live your dreams. But the thing that I've found that's really helped me is, again, just those small actions every day, even if you feel like a complete failure. Like I started, even when I moved home at the beginning of this year, I still wanted to create content and try things, even though I wasn't in a really good place. And I started a Google Hangout show where I started interviewing entrepreneurs from different countries in the world, and really tried to pull myself out of that sadness. But the crazy thing, I was just doing some math on this. In the last 12 months, mostly the last 8 months, I've really gone out as an entrepreneur and made some actual money, good money. I can even explain it if you want me to. I don't know.
Yeah, explain. Go ahead, explain.
So I was looking at the numbers, and I've basically, from consulting, hosting events, speaking at leadership events, producing a TV show, working for an entrepreneur, helping her produce her online course. What else? There's something else. Helping do some producing for a conference. Almost $30,000 in freelance creative content money, and also having full-time job. But that's cool and amazing. But the real amazing thing to me, I also did this math, was that I actually over the last year hired 12 freelance people to do different small projects for me, and I actually became somebody who paid other people to do
something big.
I'm on my way.
Awesome. I love this. I see LaShanda was down there clapping. I'm clapping. Yeah. I know what that's like. And I mean, exactly. I love that you just also said, you were able to attract all these opportunities and actually monetize everything you're doing. But I also love that you gave back, and you also employed other people who can now say, because of, Gwen, I had this opportunity to do whatever. So I love that even more. I want to get in before we, I know we have so much, we want to talk to you forever, but, I want to talk about how did you make Naked Entrepreneur happen? How did it get to own just briefly tell us about that?
Absolutely. It all starts with starting small. That's like the theme today. Really, the show started as a web show. And our crew was Ryerson students. And the host, he actually used to be my entrepreneurship professor at Ryerson. And I featured him on Start Something Big, and we kind of were connected. He knew I could produce TV shows. And we actually had a meeting at the Pickle Barrel where he's like, Gwen, I got this idea for a show. Can we, like, work on it together? Long story short, it became this web show. Then Rogers TV picked it up because we pitched it to them. And then, honestly, through the magic of the universe, plus the amazingness of some of the guests we were able to get on the show, everyone is honestly like a millionaire or billionaire. That's like kind of the criteria to be on the show. So I'm not on the show yet.
But you got to network with all those people on the show,
right.
which is
yeah,
awesome.
doing like the pre-interviews and everything, and like getting them to like prep and stuff. But so what happened? How this happened was like luck in a way, where a producer from Chorus was actually calling Ryerson to connect about another piece of content because they're looking for Canadian content, ladies. They're looking for Canadian content. So really, it was just a matter of like intercepting a phone call and then pitching them on the show. But honestly, you can totally get your show anywhere you want it to be. You just have to know what they're looking for, and at this point, they're looking for Canadian content with great interviews, ladies, and just like, what was the other part of that? Oh yeah, and just like being willing to like put yourself out there. Like, why can't you just at this point like email you know, somebody at Chorus to say, hey, would you put my show on the air? Can we have a meeting? I did that with Start Something Big. Like, this was kind of like naive in a way, in a big way, but like I emailed executive producers like out of the blue, like cold emails to say, hey, I got a treatment for a show. Would you meet with me? And they did. So just put yourself out there and just like, why not? You know?
I love it. You know what? I think the message, like I was, you know, when we were like coming up with questions and we're like, what are we going to talk to Gwen about? One of the things was like, you know, how do you duplicate Gwen's success? You know, we want to be able to give people tips. And I think at the end of the day, it's like start something small.
Yeah.
And we'll have something big. Like, I feel like
Yes.
that is your story. That is like your kind of like your mantra. So I won't even ask you what is it that, you know, you could share with the viewers, because I feel like if you're watching this interview and Gwen has been dropping all kinds of nuggets, it is get in action. Start doing whatever you want to do. You know, connect with people who can give you vision, who can give you clarity on what it is that you want to do in life or help you figure that out. So I love that advice. But Gwen, when you look at your life and you're like, okay, so it's 2014, can you imagine it's going to be 2015? So I'm going to say flash forward to 2020. Gwen Elliot, where would you like to see yourself and your business, your brand be?
That is a magical question. Again.
You love magic, don't you?
I think it's my word of the week. I'm saying magic and like, this is majestical. I don't know. I'm just in a very happy place. And
I like it.
It's like, you know, I'm just trying to bring the good vibes wherever I go. And just because, you know, it's so hard. It's so gray outside also. It's like, let's just try and bring the good vibes. Okay, that's me distracting from the question. Okay, this is, so really, I really like myself now, and I really just want to become more of who I am. So I'll be in my early 30s in 2020 or mid-30s, something like that, and I really want to be able to, oh my God, what do I want to do? So there's like the abundance piece where it would be amazing to have enough money to travel and like do cool things, but I really want to employ people and help young people become entrepreneurs and be able to actually create a life that they love, because it's so hard coming out of school. Yeah, so money, love, happiness, joy.
All rolled up into one.
I love that. Well, Gwen, let's find out, how can people connect with you? You're doing awesome things, and I think everyone that's on, on Twitter that's been connecting, who've been saying all amazing, Call Me Set Free, Daphne D. Williams, Sasha Ann, Doina,
Sherry Sims,
Cosmetics,
Melissa
just
Grant.
tons of people shouting you out, loving what you're saying.
More. Yeah, they're all over.
Talk to people. How can people connect with you? How can people get that ebook if they go to your website in order to get and to be on the Gwen Elliot tip, because she's the next big thing if she's not already there?
Ladies, well, first of all, my ego has just exploded. So, so I did something kind of fun / use my technological skills to do something. So if you're interested, go to GwenLovesLoriandCher.com. And right there, you can actually download my ebook about how to connect with influential people. Tons of templates there. Basically, I just brain dumped everything I know about talking to everyone who's I feel has ever been.
Awesome.
So GwenLovesLoriandCher.com and download it. And you see the disclaimer there that's like, if it doesn't work, just email me, because I was like whipping it up. I'm like, come on.
I love it.
So, oh yeah. On the Twitter machine, if you have any questions at all, just email me, Gwen@startsomething.big.tv. My final word is just that we're all in this life together, and we all have the equal opportunity to do something big, to start on your dream, and this is the age of collaboration, not competition. So we have to help each other. And you ladies are totally helping me by giving me the chance to share a bit more about my story and just I don't know, just kind of connecting with amazing people that we didn't know each other before today. So just thank you so much, and it's just been so great to talk to you.
Oh, I love it. I love it. We love you, and we love your energy. And you know what? I know Cher and I are going to definitely have to connect with you offline and go out and hang out. And I know that Cher was speaking at, I know that I had glimpsed you. I saw you at the Secrets of a Side Hustler where Cher was speaking, Siobhan John's project. And, we definitely commend, Siobhan for what she's doing to come and help build this kind of community of women who are maybe not where they want to be, but to give them the support that they need. And I know that you spoke at, you shared your secrets for your hustles, and I'm glad to see how far you've come and just kind of learning about your journey. And I know that big things are going to happen with you, because not everyone is a special lady like you and is so motivated and driven. So I know for sure that Miss Gwen Elliot is going to be mogul of whatever you desire. So we just want to say thank you so much for coming on the Lori and Cher show.
You're welcome to hang out.
Yeah, hang out with us as we get into.
Hey, I gotta learn. There's so much more to learn. And, but then action. Okay, everyone watching this. We're going to get a great brain dump from the fabulous LaShanda, then it's do stuff. Okay.
Do stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so I'd like to introduce our next guest. She's the founder of SistaSense.com and the BBW Network for women entrepreneurs. She's a web designer, a marketing. She's a powerhouse. I love this lady because I think she has such great energy. I want to welcome LaShanda Henry, all the way from North Carolina, right, LaShanda?
Yes, hello.
Welcome to hang out with us Canadian chicks.
We are with my ebook. I'm waiting for my ebook when I just put in my information.
Yeah! Thank you!
Because Gwen loves Lori and Cher.
I love that.
Yeah, I love it. So flattered.
LaShanda, how did you come up with the name SistaSense? How do you become SistaSense? Where did that name come from?
You know what? It's kind of like Gwen said. You'd be walking down the street and just kind of things pop into your head. For me, I just, a long time ago, said I wanted www to be my wild, wild west. I wanted to figure out how to get a piece of digital pie and create my own property. And just tried a whole bunch of stuff. In the process of that, I was trying to make sense of making money. And so I'm a sister girl, and I'm always talking about sister this and sister that. So SistaSense just kind of made sense for me because the process is just me making sense of making money online and then teaching other people how to do the same thing.
One thing I love is that you literally are living life by design. I was like going back and I'm watching and I'm like, this lady has like 315 YouTube videos. I'm like, this is a lot of videos for me to watch before I have this lady on the show. But, I was watching and I said, like, this lady has really created and carved out the life that she wanted to live, from the time you were back in high school and then, you're over at Columbia, right?
Yes, I went to Columbia.
And then you got the IBM internship, and you're like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. And you're like, I like this whole, I'm a tech geek. And you really created that life by design. How are you, how is it that you were able to do that? Like, how did you have the forward, clear vision that you wanted to play in that .com space?
I love the synergy between our stories, and I was listening to Gwen, and when you talked about, you got that opportunity to be on the Oprah network or the O network, and it didn't quite work out. I always, when I was in high school, I was a computer science major, geek from then, and I said, my first computer was an IBM. I said, I would love it if I could work at IBM, yay! And so when I was in college, I got to intern at IBM. And I did that for a couple of years. I thought that I was going to get that amazing IBM job. The .com bubble just went pop the minute I came out of college. And it didn't quite work out that way for me. But the synergy that I feel between our stories is that even though sometimes that amazing job that you thought you would get didn't quite happen the way you wanted, it doesn't stop you. It just kind of propels you forward. And so I said, if they're not going to create my dream, I'm going to have to figure out how to create that for myself. It's different for me, I feel like, when I was trying to figure this stuff out in like 2000, 2001, 2002, because this whole web entrepreneurial buzz was real quiet. It was really just for the geeks. And so it really was just a personal process of making sense of it for myself and trying out Amazon and eBay and affiliates, and I was blogging before blogging really even existed, but just kind of going forward and trying different things until I got to a space where I felt like this is really who I am, and this is what I need to do. I would say this about the process. Creating my own websites, along the way, people would see things in me. Oh, I like that site. Who did it? I like those graphics. Who did it? So, just kind of like in the process of me discovering myself online, it was public enough so other people would see skills in me and say, well, you need to write more. You need to do video. You need to do more websites. And I love that idea of just, start even before you're ready, because in the process of working through that, you'll have revelations, and then your outside community, they'll give you revelations as well as far as the direction that you need to move in.
So you work from home, right?
Yes.
So, that's something I think that, like, Cher and I both work from home. I find it to be a blessing because I can really effectively work from home, and as Cher can as well. But I think there's a lot of misconceptions that people have when it comes to working from home. They're like, oh, it's so easy, like you're at home, you don't have to commute, like you have to walk 5 steps and you're in your office. What kind of misconceptions do you feel people have about online and when it comes to being an entrepreneur, and how that kind of works hand in hand?
I think that, everybody likes to glamorize entrepreneurship, and the unfortunate aspect of it is that the reason why most entrepreneurs don't get to where they want to be is that it's really not that glamorous. I mean, once we, make the lunch for my son and he's off to do what he needs to do, my job is just like a 9 to 5. And to the degree that I think it's even more compounded, because when you're an entrepreneur, a lot of times when you don't work, you don't get paid. So you got to make sure that you self-motivate yourself. You are the boss. There's no supervisor going, did you get that done yet? You have to really kind of work towards making things happen for yourself. And I've learned how to be very, very strategic about my time. I always talk about being social in 60 seconds or 60 minutes. I'm going to get in, get out, and do what I need to do, because I can't get lost on Facebook all day. It just cannot work. But there are misconceptions. You've got those highs. Obviously, I love that I can, if I feel like it, I can go and take a nap for like 2 hours and then go back to work. I couldn't necessarily do that. my hubby, he'll say, well, why are you in bed? I'm like, well, I'm writing, I'm working. Sometimes it doesn't necessarily look like I'm working, even though I am. So you do have the flexibility and the luxury of just being in the comfort of your own home, but you have to be focused, you have to be motivated, and you have to take yourself seriously. And that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs tend not to do. You know, they'll say, okay, I want to do all of these things, but then, okay, I can't do it because I've got work, I've got the kids, I've got all this stuff. If you want your business to move forward, you've got to prioritize the things that you put on your list, or else they're just not going to happen.
And I just want to remind everybody out there that if you have questions for LaShanda, we are taking them now. And we have quite a few people who are just saying, LaShanda is awesome. So that comes from Sherry Sims. She's like, LaShanda is awesome. You got Alyssa Grant out there saying, yes, she is awesome. And she also has a great question, too, as well. So how do you create a motivating environment for yourself when you're working at home? Because it sometimes it does have to do with that environment that you're in, because I know sometimes clutter can really destroy that. But how do you create a motivating environment for yourself?
There are a lot of good things that you can do. First thing being, take your list of to-dos, and I like to call it my knockout list. Take the things that are small that you can just kind of knock out in an hour or two. Do those first, because that'll definitely motivate you. Like, ooh, I got this done. Let me kind of keep going and moving forward, versus trying to belabor through things that take a lot longer and then you kind of feel exhausted. Definitely something good. I find that sometimes, because I'm a house bunny, but sometimes getting the hell out of the house is a good thing to kind of re-energize you. I'm actually a member of my local Women's Power Networking here. We meet on Saturdays, and I love, love, love that. Just an hour to go chat with the girls, not with my boys. Then I go back home and I'm like, yes, I'm motivated because I can do all of these things. So, you know, if you need to take time for yourself to either connect with other entrepreneurs, just have fun, you need to do that, because that's going to help you, you know, with that momentum as well. And I would also say just to kind of be strategic about scheduling calls with people. Now, I do a lot of mentoring for women, so all day, every day, if I'm not working on a website, I'm talking to one of my mentees, I should say. Talking to them, it motivates me, because I learn when they ask me questions. It's not just about teaching. You learn in that process as well. So whether you're working with other people to help them forward, or you're, you know, talking with people who are on the same level as you or where you need to be, just getting on the phone sometime, that helps as well. You know, just kind of, those are just a few things that I do. But either getting out the space or talking to other people to bring in that energy for yourself definitely helps you to motivate yourself and move forward.
Oh, absolutely. And just want to shout out Rona Berry Morin. She is just a huge fan, and she's just loving this conversation, and she's glad that she's watching live and she got in for that. So shout out to you. And again, you guys, if you've got questions, you definitely want to make sure you ask them. We have these awesome women, and we're going to hit back up with Gwen a little bit, but we're still hanging out with LaShanda right now, and we are getting the goods on growing your business and the strategies and tactics from working from home, and also really taking your business to the next level. And you also mentor a lot of women, as you're mentioning, and these are, a lot of women are established in their businesses and their careers. But one of the questions that we promised to get an answer to tonight on the show was, how do you help women recognize what they're worth and also ask to be paid what they're worth with their services? Like, what do you recommend?
Ooh, that's the hard one. When you say that, I just think about all the calls that I'm on. I'll ask people how much it is that they want to make and how much they're making, and say, let's talk about the money. And then it's like, oh my God, you want to talk? Let's talk about the feel good, the passion. I'm like, let's talk about the money. You know, what are you selling? What are your goals? Really putting that into perspective for a lot of women. That's what I do when I have what I like to call my clarity sessions. And that's something that a lot of times people don't talk about. I always say that it's good to be passionate about what you do. You know, a lot of times motivational speakers for women entrepreneurs, you know, you've got to find your passion, but it has to be profitable as well. So when people tell me, well, I want to do a video show, or I want to be an author, I want to sell my new natural hair care line, I say, okay, well, let's crunch the numbers. What does it look like? How many products do you have to sell to get to a certain amount? You know, they'll say, okay, well, I want to start, I want to do what you do, LaShanda, and if I have an online coaching and I charge like $7 for people to be a part of that, and I'll say, okay, good. If you have 10 people and they're giving you $7, that's $70. Can you sustain? And they go, like, okay. What else do you need to do? How are you going to monetize? How are you going to sell high price point packages? Are you going to get in more people? So really taking it from that is kind of like cloud nine. Ooh, I really love this idea, to let's kind of break it down to how much you're going to sell, how many people you need. Those are the types of things that I do with my mentees quite a bit. But that helps them get clear and focused as far as pricing and packaging is concerned. You know, you got to go from this is what I want to do to specifically what am I going to sell? How am I going to monetize it to make that happen for myself?
And Joyce Fiodembos, she said that, and I'm sorry if I said your name wrong, Joyce, but she said that LaShanda is an awesome teacher, and you know what? I definitely have to agree. So you're doing great tonight. We're so glad to have you on the show.
You know, LaShanda, when it comes to, when we're talking to Gwen, she's talking about online businesses and some of the people that are kind of like mentors and stuff like that. Who were your mentors when it comes to kind of creating where you are today? Like that kind of guided you to create the businesses that you have created?
I always talk about Kimberly Seals Allers. I don't necessarily feel like I had specific people that I was just kind of following, per se, but when I was pregnant with my son, I read her book, A Mocha Manual's Guide to a Fabulous Pregnancy, and at some point in the book, she talked about being this career woman, having all of these things happening to her in the corporate world, and just looking at her kids like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I was like, oh my God, that's so me. I don't want to work for anybody else. And, you know, just kind of thinking about her story, she motivated me to say, okay, I'm going to exit the 9-to-5 world and I'm going to do this for myself. You know, I love this concept of, you know, hacking into awesome. When I read her story, and it was a pregnancy book, but just that one little thing that she said, for me, it was me hacking into the possibility of I can be a mom and I can work for myself and move forward with that. So, you know, just kind of full circle, when I had my social network several years later, she was one of the ladies that joined. We've worked together quite a bit, and I had the opportunity to say, I read your book when I was pregnant. And so, you know, just she's one person that comes to mind. But for me, I do love Marie Forleo. She actually, I discovered maybe a year or two ago. For me, I always say I don't feel bad when I can't really name a lot of people, because as a creative being, my job is just to tunnel vision and not have other forces kind of bleed into that.
Fair enough.
But I definitely can say that at pivotal points, there were people that I looked at and said, you know, she's awesome. And she just kind of makes whatever possibility I have in my head real. So you want to gravitate to those people and kind of hold on to them.
Do you feel now, you know, with so many people, like it's just kind of a flood of content creators, curators in the, you know, on the online world. Is it still a possibility to have a successful business in 2014, 2015 to create that? Is that something that's realistic for people to see the success of people like Marie Forleo and, you know, others that are in that field or that space?
It's absolutely possible, because, I mean, just the idea of creativity, it's endless, and people could just come up with something and you go, oh my God, how come I didn't think of that? And even though there's so much material that's constantly being fed at us, just to Gwen's point, you know, you have the ability to create something that's completely different from anybody else. You know, for me, I've got a very, very large community. I'm a web designer. I've got other people that come on and I promote their web design services, and I say, I might be the one for you, or I might not, and she might be the one for you, right? So really, it's about when you put out what you have, there's somebody out there that's going to feel like you're the right voice for them. Doesn't matter how many millions and billions of other people are saying the same thing. Just you keep saying what you need to say so that you reach the people who feel like, aha, she's for me.
Yeah, and you said two different things that really resonated with me. One was you just heard about Marie Forleo about a year and a half ago, and that means, how many times I meet people, I'm like, you've never heard of Marie Forleo before? But that just says to me that there's opportunity for more than just Marie Forleo, for example. And then on top of that, it's that power of the personal brand and power of putting yourself out there and really creating that content that is centered around who you are and what you're offering to the world, because people will choose whether they want to work with you or not. And you have an opportunity to present yourself and attract those who want to work with you. And that just shows me is like, there's so many people right now who are doing exactly what I do right now, but people can decide whether they want to work with me or not. And there's like the globe is now our stage. Like, people are working and coaching and helping women from around the world. Like, Marie Forleo has people in every single country practically that has access to the internet. So it's amazing what you can do now. So definitely, like, to Lori's question, there's space for everyone, and it's just the cream will rise, because there's a lot of bad content and there's a lot of bad coaches, there's a lot of bad this and there's a lot of bad everything else out there, but definitely, there's opportunity for us. I do wanted to, just before I get into get your response, I do want to just also slip in a quick question from K.N. Hunter. She wants to know if you can describe any moments, particularly a really hard one, where you want to give up. And like this, going around with this question of, there's so many people that are creating so much awesome, like, was there a point with you that you wanted to give up, but yet you still got to try again and you knew you didn't need to quit? Like, that's basically the question. I know I've been talking a lot, but yeah.
That's a hard one. Because there are just kind of ups and downs throughout. Is there a point where I wanted to give up? Honestly, I have to be honest and say I've been tired, I've been frustrated, but I tell people all the time, when I had my son, broke was not an option. So, I've got a mortgage to pay, he's got a school to go to, and, I don't get to points where as one of my friends told me, she says, you're certifiably unemployable. There's just no way I can go back to finding a 9-to-5. So, but I will say that, and I've written about this on my blog, and I talk about being, taking a break, like break but not broken. There are times when you will feel that you just are broken, and in those instances, it's a moment for you to take a break. I want to say last year, for maybe the first half of the year, I didn't look at Facebook at all. I was like, I can't be on this space. It's too much going on, too many people, too many energies, and I need to just, again, go back to tunnel vision. So, when I find that I'm frustrated about one thing or another, it's an opportunity for me to either dial back as far as work is concerned, or to figure out what people, projects, activities I need to eliminate until I feel better again. But no, I never got to a point where I wanted to stop, because I can't stop for him. I got to keep it.
I love it. I love that. Broke is not an option. I love that. I love that. Okay, so LaShanda, we have a couple more questions on Twitter that people want to ask, but I need to ask you this, because this is something that, Cher and I know that Gwen alluded to it when we're talking a bit, is how do you build a tribe? How do you build this community of people? What is the secret sauce? Because, when you're starting out in 2014, sometimes it's not as easy, but then sometimes it's easier for others. But what is it that you think is the magic behind the communities that you've been able to create, and why people come there?
I think you've got to find a really strong common ground that resonates with your group and push forward with that. When I was interning at IBM, I was like, this is great, but I want to find more women. I want to find more women of color who like tech, and I didn't see them. And so I decided that I was going to start asking people, hey, are you a techie geeky girl like me from Brooklyn? And, do you want to hang? And folks were like, yeah. I had a clicker, and I tell this story all the time. You count 1, 2, 3. We'd be on like MySpace. We'd be on forums. We meet me and my hubby, and we'd be talking to other women entrepreneurs. They're selling their T-shirts, their beauty products. Hey, do you want to hang with me? Do you want to hang with another community of entrepreneurial women of color? And they said yes. And so that was like, I always think about when back in MySpace dating myself, when people will say, my only friend on MySpace is Tom. Well, that's how my communities looked, right? It went from 1 to 2 to 3 to thousands. And one, being genuine and authentic and really reaching out to people in the beginning was important. Two, again, having that commonality, that common ground. For example, I've got my upcoming webinar conference. One of the ladies, Evita Robinson, she's the creator of Nomadness Travel. And her common ground for her huge community is we love to travel. We love to go around the world, and we want to talk to other people that have that same thing. So if you just say, well, I want to do women's empowerment, that's just too broad. Like, you've got to hit people at a very, very specific level. I want to talk to people who know what it's like to be a single parent raising 3 kids, or know what it's like to, raise a boy, or be a single person looking for a husband. Whatever the case may be, you've got to find something and build the community around that. For me on SistaSense, I tell people I started off on a floss string. I said, not a shoestring, floss string budget. And I wanted to figure out how to make it happen for myself as a geeky, techie woman. And those are the women who gravitate towards me. They'll all say, I'm really introverted. Not all, but a lot will say, I'm really introverted, but I want to do stuff online. And I say, well, I always say I'm a typer, not a talker. So those little things became really big things. And that's what helped me snowball. The more I identified those things that were, I guess, unique or little random idiosyncrasies of myself that other people could resonate with. Don't make the mistake of trying to be larger than life and have this big all-encompassing brand. Really narrow down as far as who you're trying to reach and why, because that's what's going to help your community grow. And you guys, you talked about having a team. For me, my community is my team, because they go, "Ooh, I love SistaSense," or "Ooh, I love BBWO," and they push it for me because they're on the campaign, right? So think about creating a campaign for yourself. Who exactly you're trying to reach. Start grassroots. That's basically what I did.
So when you say grassroots, but like dig in, like give us a little bit of a more nugget, like in terms of like how do you connect with other women? Like if we're talking about Facebook, how do you connect with other women or find other women for your space? Like, are you in chat rooms, forums? Like, how does it all kind of really come together that you can connect with someone in Toronto who is feeling what you're saying, or someone who's like in Alabama, or someone who's in Miami? Like, how do you meet those women?
You've got to do a combination of research and building your social media. So I researched other women entrepreneurs that I liked. I did what I like to call successful sister profiles. I want to say maybe about 2 weeks ago, I was in New York for Digital Undivided, created by her name, Catherine Finney. She was one of the amazing women entrepreneurs, creator of the Budget Fashionista that I interviewed years ago. Interviewed the creator of Clutch Magazine. So finding women who fit my mold and going out and interviewing them was important, because then when people searched for them, they found me. I became a part of a larger conversation.
I get it.
And then strategically, whether it be Twitter or back in the day, MySpace, I've got another community.
Planet.
Black Planet. Yeah, oh my God, I was on Black Planet too.
Me too.
I've got a social network called the Black Moms Club. I was on Cafe Mom looking for moms. You've got to find spaces and marketplaces that appeal to your target audience, and you got to put your foot in and be there. I don't have to do that anymore because it's snowballed enough for the community to go out and do that for me. But I always say that if you don't have the money when you're starting, you got to spend the time. And I definitely, spent a lot of time either interviewing people or reaching out to individuals who were interested in a community like mine.
I love that you gave it because it was so specific as what you said, and it is the time that you have to put in if you don't have the dollars to do it. I want to shout out a couple of people. Taj Cosmetics says, LaShanda, I absolutely love your insight. Keep it going, loving it. I mean, holy crow, there's so many people that are saying stuff, so I'm trying to keep up on the Twitter. I have some questions, so I'm going to ask some questions. I know Daphne D. Williams wanted to find out some inexpensive resources for graphic design. I think that was her question. Simple graphic design software for a novice and for someone who's on the budget. That's one thing that Daphne D. Williams wants to find out.
Sure. I think it's funny because we were just talking about like cool tools and things like that, and Pixlr being one of those wonderful no-cost tools that you can use and find because it's web-based. I also like the fact that if you go on Adobe, they now have this Create Space. I don't know, I can't remember the name exactly of how.
Creative Cloud.
The Creative Cloud, right? So that for anywhere between $9.99 to $29, you can do a monthly subscription and get access to the kind of software you would otherwise have to pay upwards of $600 and $700 for, which is pretty cool. And then, of course, when all else fails, you can go on Fiverr and find somebody for $5 to do something pretty cool for you. So
absolutely. And Cher does all of our graphics for our show, and it's Canva. So Canva.com is also a really great place to hack into that, graphic design. Awesome if you are on a very slim budget. Also, Allison, she was on our Hot Topics panelist last week. She's watching, so shout her out. But she wanted to ask a question for you, and she's like, what do you do when you feel overwhelmed or stuck? Or, what do you do to push past it? I know you answered a little bit about it before, but what do you do to not be overwhelmed in everything that you're doing? Because one thing that you are doing is juggling so many different networks, plus your business, plus your personal life. So it's like, how do you find the balance?
I always find a focus. So I looked at one of my blogs, the Black Parenting blog, and I'm like, man, I haven't updated this in a while. Ooh. But you know what? I can't focus on you right now, baby, because I got to focus on, my upcoming conference. So, for me, I believe that you should phase things in. And don't feel bad if you can't do it all today. So I focus on my clients, and I focus on at least one priority personal project for myself, all about those things that are income generating first. And then when I feel like I've gotten things to where I need them to be, I can put them aside and do something else. But, as far as overwhelm is concerned, really the key for me is prioritizing, and I prioritize based on what's going to bring me in, I hate to say it, what's going to bring me in the most amount of money.
Fair enough.
Clients that I'm living right now, because sometimes you go, oh my God, I got all this stuff to do. But when you look at it, some of that stuff you don't really need to do. Either you can delegate it or it's not going to bring you in what you want right now. So work on the things that allow you to have the flexibility to do other things. That's kind of how I look at it.
And I have another question because you were speaking about monetization, and we got a question from Sherry Sims over on Google+, and she says, monetizing is still intimidating for me as she grows her network, but I still do not understand it fully yet. What are some of the simplest ways to generate revenue off of, growing your tribe, growing your network, and as a business person?
For me, I started generating revenue from my tribe by just answering their questions. My platforms, I use the Ning.com platform to create my social networks, and so people started saying, wow, I like that. How did you use Ning? How do you market it? Or, I talked about being very, very specific about who your target is, creating a niche. And so creating your own Ningalicious network, building a niche, I started creating eBooks to answer the questions that I was getting on an ongoing basis. One person said to me, "I love your banners. You know, who does them?" I said, "Oh, I do." I'm just like, "Can you make mine?" He was my first banner client. So if you've got a community and there are either skills that you can offer or resources, listen to what they're asking you for and be responsive, because those will be your first clients.
Love it. Let's talk about something that you have. Like, I mean, you just alluded to it as kind of like maybe the secret sauce to you building your success is that you connected with people that you wanted to be connected with, and that's how you grew your tribe. And this Saturday, you actually do have an event, which, I mean, like, there's tons of freaking ladies. I said freaking, okay? But there's tons of ladies, women, entrepreneur, that are on this event, this conference that you're doing, and I think anyone who's watching this needs to know what it is. So can you break us down? I mean, how many women are there first and foremost?
So there are 18 speakers, myself makes 19, and I always say I'm just going to do like 4 or 5, and it just never, never happens that way. But it's just my annual Back to Business conference. I always feel like around September, kids go back to school, we go back to business. Like, yay, they get out the house. I can go back on my computer again. And so that's just kind of an opportunity for me to do that conference every year around this time.
So what do people get? Like, break it down for us. Like, who is this conference for?
I deal with a range of women, right? From startup, jumpstart to restart, whether they're, you know, whatever phase they're coming in. So the conference is really for women entrepreneurs trying to get clear. Right now, the focus is power moves. And so I've gotten all of these different people who specialize in different areas, whether it be crowdfunding, branding. Valerie Burton, she's my masterclass featured speaker. She's talking about how to get unstuck, so your mindset. I've got people talking about video marketing, social media. Really, I know that I'm not an expert at everything, even though I would love to be. So the goal is getting people who specialize in their own space, and then people can basically tap into that energy, whether they want to focus on video or blogging, or they need to change some things in their mindset. You will find somebody who's going to connect with you and give you something to help you do that next thing, that next power move for yourself, which is basically the goal.
I love the concept. I love the whole power move concept, because it is really about that. It is about making those moves and making stuff happen. And I love the fact that you'll see, like, throughout this show, I mean, even what we're doing as an opportunity, I mean, Lori and I are just greedy for knowledge. I think that's why we have this show in the first place, because we just want to hack into people and what makes them awesome and kind of like find those shortcuts. That was the whole purpose for creating this show. And you see with Gwen as well, and how she was out there interviewing people and using her platform to get connected. And the same thing with you. And you look at how, as we're all at different stages of the game, and again, I mentioned in the beginning, never compare your start to somebody else's middle, but we all see like the opportunity and one of those strategies for really growing your network and building opportunity for yourself while serving. And that's the key there. It's like we're not, while we are so greedily like soaking in both the knowledge from you and from Gwen, we are serving others by putting this together and sharing it with the world, because everybody's like coming back to us and tweeting and everything saying, wow, this is awesome. But I just wanted to just point out that strategy that, you know, with the 18 women, you couldn't stop at 5. You have 18 or 19 women on your platform that you get to connect with, and people going out to that event, again, they have the opportunity to connect. So it's like one of those ABC rules, always be connecting, and look what it's got you.
Absolutely. You know, like I talked about, you know, doing successful sister profiles and interviewing people, you do have to be in a position where it's not just you, right? Mm-hmm. And you're not always just talking about your revelations, because that's great. But a good thing as far as search engine optimization is concerned is to be a part of a larger conversation. And so you want to be able to talk about other people who are like-minded or completely different, whatever the case may be. I don't see it as competition or crabs in a barrel. I see it as strategy. I look at the old boys club. I look at, you know, like serious hardcore marketers and gurus. I'll join their circles and I'll go, but wait a minute. he just promoted him and he's got an event, and then he just promoted him, and they all are promoting and they're all selling to the same people. But it has nothing to do with strategy, because again, everybody is going to find that right person to resonate with them. So you've got to be strategic. You've got to engage, talk to more people, talk about more than just what you think, right? Don't be afraid to go out there and introduce yourself. Some of the speakers are my friends. Some of them I didn't know until I invited them to speak. But I love that Gwen talked about reaching out to people. You have to do that, because that's the only way your circle is going to grow.
Exactly. I just want to bring Gwen back into the circle. So Gwen, you're more than welcome to join back as part of this conversation, because it's been so amazing. I mean, we're already 19 minutes over time, but that's okay because the conversation's so damn good. So yes, welcome back. And guys, if you are listening right now and you still have questions for both either Gwen or LaShanda or Lori and myself, please ask them while you have a chance of speaking to us live. So this is one of those episodes that we're definitely going to be rolling back and listening to the different nuggets. And we know a shout out to Adriel right now, who's out there tweeting out these nuggets like crazy. So you can also check the Twitter feed at Lori and Cher to see some of that stuff, because he's been tweeting like a mo. So he's like, awesome. So thank you. I had to like stop myself. It was like a mo, yeah. But anyways, yeah. So I want to make sure you guys have the last chance, because we are going to be wrapping up soon. But we have Gwen, we have LaShanda, and Lori, myself. So come on, bring those questions, keep them coming.
I have one comment, a super quick comment about interview shows, and something that I've learned through doing basically my entire career. It's been interviewing people. And when I started, I thought the whole point of doing an interview show was to shine the light on someone else and just share how great they are and try and like hide. But the key to a great interview is that it's for you first, and you're loving it and sharing more about yourself, and that kind of sets the tone to allow other people to share their greatness as well. And that's what you two do such an amazing job at. It's not like, you know, LaShanda and I have all the answers and we just know things. It's like we're in this together. You are bringing out our greatness, and like we're learning about you as well. So don't make an interview show if your intention is to make other people more powerful than you are.
I like that.
That's sweet. Thank you. I really appreciate that. That's good. And I think yeah, I don't know what to say. Yeah.
Lori is speechless. Wow.
So, you know, LaShanda, one of the things that I wanted to know, like when right now you've been in this space for so long, do you ever dream of leaving it? You know, I asked Gwen before 2020, what is it that it looks like for her? You know, so I'm going to put you on the hot seat and say, what does it look like for you in terms of where you'd like to see your brand, your career go? Is there other aspirations that you have that you'd like to conquer at this point? Because, I mean, girl, you made it.
Well, I mean, there's always that next level, right? So I've got all my people around me saying, okay, you need to get to Oprah status, and, you know, that's definitely something to see. But on a very, very personal level, I love working with kids. I've always loved working with kids, and so whether it's crafting or computers or something, I definitely want to have something local in the community so I can kind of disconnect from this and just have all the little kiddies around me and have my own little studio here in North Carolina. But I definitely want to have that opportunity to not only continue to build and do all the different things that I do in technology, but kind of just keep it grounded and rooted here. At the end of the day, if I'm on my swing on the porch and, you know, just kind of hanging out with some sweet tea, I'm good. So, you know, having a lot of different things, but the things that make me personally happy, that's kind of what I want to see in the future.
That's awesome.
Definitely.
So Cher Jones, I know, I feel like as you said it, use the word greedy, that you and I are greedy for information. So that's why we do this show. And I'm like, gonna go back after, you know, when we wrap the show, and I know that you and I are gonna be like, oh my God, like, did you hear what she said? Did you hear what she said?
Yeah.
So, you know, and I mean, like, we have been greedy with your guys' time because it is 10:23. I don't think we have any other questions other than we had a ton of people
shouting out.
Could I ask you a quick question?
Yeah, yes, go ahead.
Ladies, as you put us on the spot, now it is time for us to put you on the spot. What is your 2020 vision?
Oh, good one.
You ladies in 2020.
Yeah, Lori, you can go first. Spotlight's on you.
You know what? It's so funny, Gwen. There's one other man who has come on our show. His name was Trent Shelton. I don't know if you guys know him. He's a elite motivational speaker. He was on our show, and he turned the cards around on us. And I was like, I don't answer questions. I just ask people questions. I don't know how to do that. Like that just doesn't. I don't know. It just doesn't bode well. I don't know. I can't answer that question, Gwen.
Yes, you can, Lori. Somebody said this to me before. They're like, Gwen, if you want to be the person that asks the questions, then actually this was a guy when I was on a date that didn't go well. I was like, you can't just keep asking me questions. You're like,
why not?
It's just because, but like sometimes you can use the questions as like a defense mechanism. But like, but yeah, like I know it's such a hard question.
You know what? Honestly, at the end of the day, Gwen, you and I have very similar things. You know, I believe in the law of attractions, and I believe in living life abundantly. So, you know, obviously, I do. I love the position that I'm in right now. You know, I used to work for a network television, worked in the States on, you know, cable television, and I was blessed for those opportunities. Now that I'm an entrepreneur, I sell real estate full time. You know, Cher and I do these things. We have other kind of business, you know, endeavors that we are undertaking. I feel blessed to be an entrepreneur and to be in a position where I can work from home. I can make the decisions to, you know, participate in a show like this, and no one can tell me you can't do it. So I want to continue to be an entrepreneur. In real estate, you know, I definitely have some goals there, but I have some other entrepreneurial goals that I feel like as long as I have the right people, you know, I believe in coaches and all that kind of stuff. I do have coaches. As long as I have that, then it's good. But you know, on a personal level, it's like living life, experiencing the world, other communities out there, tasting great food, having a great family, being healthy, and just, you know, being able to hopefully help and give back to other people and either teach them what I've done in order to live that life, or, you know, help them in some other way, because I don't feel like it's right for me to not live kind of like, you know, to give back to people. So beautiful. That's my 2020 kind of goal. Go ahead, Cher.
How nice. Okay. Wow, my hair is a mess. Yeah. So my goal for the 2020 goal, looking at myself, is really about growing my company, Socially Active, and also growing on a leadership level, so growing and sharing what I know and building upon that, probably the mediapreneur lifestyle, as far as creating opportunity for myself through sharing what I know and empowering other women, men. I'm not specifically going after women per se, but just really hungry, entrepreneurial-minded people who want to leverage their brands to open up the doors for opportunity and for success, and I really want to help them get there, and leveraging social media to do that. And then, of course, the fame seeker side of me I just want to be famous. I'm kidding. No, I'm not. I love this, like what we're doing right now. This is a part of me. So Lori and I, we have our projects together that we are growing into, hopefully one day, a really profitable online training business when it comes to Google Hangout space. So there's so many different pots I have my foot in right now. And the speaking side of me, I do a lot of speaking. So it's just, there's a lot of opportunity out there. So I don't have a clear vision of what that 2020 vision, but I know that I'm building. I'm in build phase and trying to stay focused on 1 to 2 of them. So
that sounds super exciting. And I do have to say, on the famous piece, it's like you already are, you know, like you're the kind of person where you walk into a room and people turn and they're like, who's that lady? Like, you know, you have the energy of somebody who's just doing something big and something amazing, and just like stay on it, and don't ever feel like you're not killing it, because you all are. We're all killing it.
We are. This is like an awesome circle of friends here.
Yes, I'm so happy that we all connected. I want to shout out a couple more people. You know, Tina C. Hines, SistaSense, giving great interview. Lots of nuggets. jeweled more. Gwen Elliot, your wisdom is beyond your age, seemingly. Thanks. I want to connect with each of you. Daphne D. Williams, she wants to know, Gwen, she's been writing this in on Twitter. She wants to know, how can I write or work with Gwen Elliot as a copywriter or be a guest blogger? So connect with her on Twitter, Daphne D. Williams.
Look at Gwen's little face.
I am D. Right Well, so that is there. Yes, and we just want to thank everyone. I hope that Jewel D. Moore will watch us again, and if you can't watch us live, we always have it replaying. We have our link on YouTube, so we'll make sure to share that with you, Jewel, so if you can't watch future episodes of Lori and Cher, that you can always watch it on replay and not live. Anyways, it's 10:29. We have to wrap up the show because, oh my gosh. LaShanda, can you share with everyone where they can connect with you, where they can get information more about the conference that you're doing this Saturday?
Sure. The website I see here, it says sister, but it's actually
yes, I apologize. So let me move that.
No worries there. SistaSense.com, SistaSense. And it's the Back to Business Conference, b2b.sistasense.com. We're going to have an amazing time. I just love hanging out with you ladies. It's a great time for me. So that's basically who I am and where I am all day, every day.
Love it, love it. Cher Jones, thank you so much for all the hard work you did today. We just want to thank Adriel for being on Twitter and manning that. All our new friends that we met on Twitter and Facebook. Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone. We feel so blessed to have this opportunity to hang out with such fabulous women, and we really hope that you guys take this stuff and, just don't take it in, but actually action on a lot of the stuff that they said, because that's so important. Don't just hold it in and not do anything with it. So from Lori and Cher, we want to say make sure you guys watch our last episode. We'll have more information or our playback repeat on buyblacks.com, and we'll be out next week with a new show. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you guys next week.
So don't forget to subscribe. If you hung out this long, I mean, come on.
Exactly.
Give us a subscribe,
like it,
right?
thumbs it up.
Thumbs it up, like it, let us know, because it helps us, and it just makes us know that we're on the right track to producing awesomeness for you guys. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.